And welcome to LV Home Expert. I'm Krulsawat with Simply Vegas, your Las Vegas Realtor. And in studio today, we got David Ramirez. What's going on, man?
How's it going, Chakits? Everything is going good today.
That's it? Everything's going good?
First, I'd like to say Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there.
That's right. That's right.
Served our country, so good salute to all the veterans.
And I got my co-host here, Dan French with Guaranteed Rate. What's going on?
What's happening, everybody? Good. I'm doing good. Yeah. Happy Veterans Day.
How was your week, Dan? How's everything going?
My week's been great. Weekend was really cool. I'm trying to do some remodeling around the house a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I put in a dog door and I did some stuff around the house. As usual, I went out to eat. So,
What do you mean you put in a doggy door?
So we had a dog door, man, when we moved in, and the dog door was plastic.
Is it like the glass, or you had to cut a hole in the?
Cut a hole. Well, this one you have to cut a hole into it.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that we had was plastic.
Yeah.
And so for me, I would always put aluminum. Plus, my dog's about 80 pounds now, so he's a big dog. So he's coming running into that house. He's just gonna knock those things over,
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
But I had a great weekend, man. I'm loving it. My biggest thing is the weather. This time of year,
Mm-hmm.
when the weather starts cooling down, it's really like you guys do things outdoors, including myself.
Yeah.
It's really a pleasure just to kind of be out. It's not California or California weather, but it's pretty good. You know what I mean? Overall.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Last week was like hot around 80, and it just dropped down to 60 like the very next day.
Isn't that weird?
And you actually have some snow on the mountainside. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's like extreme.
Yeah.
What
about you, David? What'd you end up doing this weekend?
Mostly just hang out with the family. Probably we went out to eat, got some sushi, and pretty much stayed busy working. I had quite a few showings this weekend, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I went out to Cadence,
Mm-hmm.
brand new subdivision out there. I was showing the model homes, and stayed pretty busy this weekend with clients.
Gotcha. What kind of homes were you showing out there?
It was Richmond American,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all single story.
Yeah.
I believe the price ranged from $350 to $385.
Really?
Single story, yeah.
That's a pretty good starting point. $350, like for a new home.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
I'm sure you're going to be in for more than that.
Yeah, but think about it. The existing home you said last week was what, 350, 345, something like that?
Well, the average across the valley is a 417, but it depends on which location you're talking about.
I think it's pretty good. Where's that at? You said is that north?
Cadence?
Is that up in?
So it's right off of like if you're driving to Lake Las Vegas.
Okay,
So you're going towards Henderson. It's right in there.
gotcha.
Yeah. So $350 is going to be the base price.
Yeah.
Once you do all the upgrades, you're probably $20,000 above that after all the upgrades.
It's like,
oh, wow.
It's like how the builders sell, from the low 350s.
Right. Exactly.
By the time you're done, it's like a boatload of money.
You see
It's
the
so
huge
funny.
billboards of the freeway
So
starting in the low 200s, low 300s.
So today we are going to be talking about investment properties, going into your first investment property as far as rental properties. And we have David here. He's an expert in investment properties. He does work with a lot of investors. He has closed a lot of transactions for a lot of investors, made a lot of money for investors out here. And the reason why I wanted to bring him in today is I wanted him to kind of really explain the process and how things work and kind of really see exactly from a buyer perspective, like the process and all that stuff. So David, let me ask you this. Like, you bought your first investment property, right?
Correct.
Now, how many investment properties do you have?
Right now, personally, I have 3 investment properties.
Okay. And your first investment property, was that like a flip property or was that like a rental property?
So the very first one I bought, it was probably when I was about 21 years old when I first got into the game.
Dude, that's good. 21 years old, you bought your first investment property?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Good for you, dude.
Who turned you on to do that?
So I met up, luckily I met up with a really good mentor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he brought me under his wing. And probably when I was at 2021, he was doing like an apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
So he interviewed about 200 guys, had them come to his office. It was about a month-long apprenticeship. He basically wanted to see who had the most tenacity, who was going to come up and call him the most, who was going to be the hardest worker. And after about a month process, he chose me. Took me under his wing. And right from there, we just ran right out of the gate.
Did you have to like pay for that mentorship, or he was just looking for somebody that was willing to grind?
Somebody just willing to grind.
So basically, in exchange, and I think this is a smart thing for him to do,
Absolutely.
was, and I'm sure he's probably already doing a lot of deals anyway.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys like that. If you can find the right mentor and get out there and you're willing to do the grind, and that's what you did. You did the sweat equity and you brung him the deal, right?
Absolutely.
So how many deals did you actually do with this guy before you actually did your own deal?
Well, with him, I started out, we were together probably about 10 years working together. And I'd say, I mean, it's hard to count because we did a lot of deals together as partners, but then we also helped out a ton of investors that we had percentage equity with as well.
Now, when you said you partnered up, what do you mean by partner up? Was it 50-50 down the middle? And were you like rehabbing and flipping homes? Is that what you were doing?
Yeah. So in the beginning it was all rehab and flip, and partnering up with somebody. It really depends on the property. So it depends on the deal, who you find, but majority of the time it's 50-50.
Okay.
But if, let's say he's putting up all the money or he's doing the majority of the work, it could be a 70-30 split.
Gotcha.
So it really depends. They're all case by case.
So how were you able to find these deals?
That's actually the magic is finding the deal, right? That's where the magic is going to be. So a lot of different ways. With him, he was pretty much word of mouth.
Really?
Yeah, he would go to everybody's office, title companies, lenders, previous clients, and we would visit, everybody we could, and just word of mouth. Do you guys have a deal? Do you know family members that are losing their house? Bring them over and we can help them out.
Now, what time period was this? Like 2008, 2010?
So I was 20. It was 2005.
Okay.
So kind of the end of 2005 coming into 2006. So that was the peak of the market.
Okay. So you got your license when you had the peak of the market.
So I didn't get licensed the first 3.5 years I started working. So I was just doing primarily investments only.
So like, what were you actually doing? Like, what was your role?
So with him at the time, because it was 2005, 2006, and the economy was booming, a lot of properties, we were actually buying a lot of property in Mountain's Edge. Because that was a brand new development. Everything was going up in the Southwest. And so what we were doing out there, because the properties were so new, they didn't really need that much work. We were just buying them in like 2005 and waiting anywhere from 3 to 6 months and just reselling them.
Oh, so you were just buying and just kind of riding that wave in that equity position.
Exactly.
Oh, that's crazy.
I have one question, though, if that's okay. I want to ask you, to get to the point, though, to be in a position where you have somebody that's mentoring you and you're an apprentice to them, what made you want to get to that point where you actually put yourself in the game, though? Like you got there and somebody showed you. Were you always intrigued with real estate?
Absolutely, yeah. Ever since high school, I've always saw real estate as the number one career that I wanted to go into from high school. So I saw it as, what is a career I can make the most money, the most opportunity without having to have the most schooling or licensing involved. So you look at doctors, lawyers, a lot of school, you're going to have a lot of student debt, things like that. And real estate was one of the only careers where you can jump right into it with very little schooling, very little licensing, get a mentor, and make as much money as you want. There's no limit.
Now, you mentioned that you did a deal and you started going 50-50. How did you actually get the money to go 50-50, or is it like financing?
So typically we did financing, the first couple of deals, especially when it was my first deal partnering with him. I didn't have any money at that time coming into the game. So the first couple of deals were probably a 70-30 split, going 70 his way.
Okay.
And what he did is probably did hard money financing, 20 to 30% down, and then the hard money financing for the 70%. And then we structured the deal that way.
So when you got your first deal, I'm talking about where you put your own money into it, did you finance or you came in with money, cash?
I came in with a little bit of money on my first deal. It was 20% down, hard money loan.
Okay, so you actually went hard money.
Right.
Gotcha. Now, this time you were just flipping properties. Like, during that time period, what was the most you ever made in 1 year in flipping properties?
I'd have to go back probably. I'd say that was the first couple of years because it was 2006, and that's when we were just turning them over. That year, I'd say I easily made over about $380,000 for the year.
Oh crap!
And in 2006, that's big, and
yeah,
it's amazing,
dude.
Though. Is it timing or is it just because everybody's always like, well, should I buy one now? Well, is it timing? Is the market? Are you strategically like looking at the market and going, well, timing was good then, timing's not good now? Like, what was the situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think timing is definitely one of the top things you have to look at. I think the purchase price is number one. So no matter where you're at in the market, whether it's a buyer's market, seller's market,
It's crazy.
if you can buy the property at the right price, it's
Yeah.
always a good deal. And I think that's number
So
one.
here's the thing. You were definitely in the right place at the right time, because I remember during that time around like 2006, 2007, when the market was hot, I felt like I was missing on the boat.
Yeah.
And I went to go buy my first property and I got financed. And I actually was looking at a condo in Henderson. And this thing probably had to be like $300,000. It was something like just ridiculous. So we went inside, we looked at it, all right? There was probably maybe 15, 20 cards or even more, like realtors. Like that's how hot this market was. For some apparent reason, I was just like, you know what? I can't even afford something like this. I'm out. So luckily I was able to get out, and I was just like, I didn't buy nothing. So I waited. But, you know, it wasn't something like I knew what I was doing. It was just, I pretty much was bought out of the market. I was just going to rent until the market crashed. But what I'm trying to get to is that during that time period, that market was crazy busy. Like, I mean, properties, you would have multiple offers, right?
Absolutely.
I heard people would actually like buy lots and sell the lots after. Like, that's how crazy it was. And they were making like 10, 15 grand off that on new homes, dude.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
The craziest, one of the craziest stories with my mentor, he bought a property on his own.
Yeah.
The biggest equity I've ever seen in a flip. He bought a property in Mountains Edge. It was a great deal. I think it was somebody was losing their house, so he got a really good deal on it.
Mm-hmm.
But the values were going up so much in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
In 30 days, he sold it and made $100,000 profit.
Damn.
That was the
That
biggest
much
sell.
money?
Dude, that's when you can get that license plate that says flipper. You know what I mean? That means you've graduated.
Okay, so now let's fast forward a little bit. So when did you actually buy your first investment rental property?
So my first rental property, actually, it was my primary that turned into a rental.
Okay.
So me and my brother, we financed a property together as our primary.
So did you do like an FHA loan?
We did, yep. FHA, 3.5% down, primary.
So this was what, like probably like 2 years after you've been making money?
So this was actually right like at the end of 2006.
Okay. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you went in on these deals and you were getting mentored. Obviously, you're going to have to wait so many months, right? And file taxes in order to get financed. Am I correct, Dan? I mean, what are those guidelines to break those down?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how many mortgages you have. But if you have 4 or more mortgages, then you're into a different position. But yeah, you're right. If you can't qualify with all the mortgages, you know what I mean? You got to show it on your tax returns. Then yeah, you got to wait.
Well, let's go back, because he's buying his first property with his brother. It's an FHA loan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kind of explain like the guidelines on an FHA loan for a primary residence.
Well, the big thing with buying an investment property, if you're doing an FHA loan, is you have to stay in the property for 12 months.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. So you can't really do anything with the property until after that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to go FHA then conventional, unfortunately, you got to wait a year. It's different if you're buying it as an investment and you're putting the money down versus if you're buying it and you're going from one house and then saying, hey, I'm going to buy another house and call it a primary residence. So there's two different things going on there. Going that route is probably the easier route, but there's a waiting period for each time you get into another mortgage.
Now, David, you mentioned that you and brother went in on an FHA loan, right?
Correct.
How long before then did you decide I'm going to turn this into a investment property as far as a rental?
So we lived in the property, and we bought the property at the peak in 2006.
Oh, crap.
And luckily, we didn't lose the house like a lot of people were going into foreclosure, buying it that high. Luckily, we had the income, the stability, and then when we transitioned to another primary, we were able to rent that house and cover the payment.
Gotcha. How long did you live in that home before you rented it out?
I'd say we were there about 3 years.
About 3 years. And what'd you end up paying for it?
So we paid $250,000.
Gotcha. And what'd you end up renting it out for?
When we first rented it out, I guess it was 2009, 2010. We rented it out for $11.50 a month.
Okay. So now I want to go back to this FHA. So with FHA, you have mortgage insurance premium, correct?
Correct.
Now, with the guidelines, you can't rent out the property until how long should you decide to scale up to a different
12
property?
months.
So you would have to wait 12 months.
Yep.
Now, can you actually get rid of the mortgage insurance premium?
No. Not. I mean, look, you can, if you put 11%, or if you put down 11%, then potentially you can look at that. There's a time period that you have to wait. But if you don't put 11% down and you put less than that, then you'll have it for the life of the loan. Now, what happens though is that mortgage insurance, as the loan goes down, what you're paying on the insurance, the percentage stays the same, but obviously the payment would go down because it's less loan.
Yeah.
So that's what people don't understand. But if you can't get into anything but an FHA loan, get an FHA loan.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, that's what I did with my first investment property. I utilized an FHA loan because of the low rates. And during that time period, they had that, it wasn't a down payment assistance. It was some sort of program where you got like $8,000 for the Obama situation. I forget what program it was, but that was that didn't really work out because at the end of the year, you still had to pay that back anyway. But
yeah, I mean, like going back to what you're saying, just real quick, is when you say like putting down the 11% on an FHA, usually if you got that much money, just buy a conventional loan. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because you're going to be required to put down 5 anyways. You know.
Now what I did was I went FHA and I put down my 3.5%. We closed out on the deal.
Yeah.
But then after I think my rate then was probably like 4.8. But we stayed in the property. Then what we did was we refinanced out of it because we were in an equity position. Dropped it down to a conventional financing, right? So that way we got out of the FHA. And now we are sitting at 3.2. So we were able to leverage out and kind of use that technique and that strategy.
Yeah.
So a lot of new investors, sometimes they will use that strategy. Now, I remember when I was working with this kid, we actually worked with this kid together. His name was Taylor. And he was buying his first investment property, and he was getting into cash flow properties. And I said, look, don't do what I did. I made a mistake. What you should do is utilize this FHA loan, buy up to 4 units. Remember this?
Yes.
So this kid got a head start, right? He utilized that program because on an FHA, you can get up to 4 unit, right?
Yeah, he's crushing it.
So we helped him on this acquisition. We bought a 4-plex. And basically, he lived in one, right? And the rest of the units are paying for his mortgage, and he's also making cash flow. After that, he got transferred out of state. He refinanced the deal, right, to a lower rate. Now he's cash flowing like crazy. And he calls me up all the time. He's like, dude, that was the best move I ever made.
Yeah.
Now, if I could go back over, start all over, I'm young, single, that's what I would have done. You know what I'm saying?
See, the thing is, something's got to like point you in the right direction, or you have to find it or stumble onto it.
Exactly.
Now, you had a good idea, but then having a mentor, like you said, and then taking that person or taking you under his wing, it speaks volumes because it sets you up for what you probably got more knowledge in that 1 year than most people get when they're thumbing their way through this whole thing. So it's very efficient. I mean, so I don't know. Everybody's got a different path.
So let's go back, David. So you bought your single family residence, right? Your primary residence. You were going to buy your second investment property, right? And then you were going to turn your primary into a rental property.
Correct.
What made you think of something like that, and what made you take the leap of faith? Because something like that could be very scary, dude.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I think probably going back, reading a lot of books. I remember reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in that book, they tell you basically the golden rule is you never want to sell any property.
Yeah.
When you buy a property as your primary, you want to live in it, you always want to rent it out and then buy another property as a primary. And then you build your portfolio that way.
Gotcha.
So I've read
So
that.
how much was your, for your primary, how much was your mortgage at that time?
So we bought it for $250,000. I think the mortgage was around, I'd have to say about $1,500.
$1,500.
Yeah,
And what were you renting it out for?
Yeah, because I remember when we rented it out in the beginning, we were losing money.
Oh, okay.
So we rented it for $1,150.
So you rented for $1,150. So you were losing what, like $350, right, a month? So basically, you wanted to buy another property and make that your primary residence.
Yeah.
What type of loan did you end up getting?
I think at that point, because we passed the 3 years, I was able to use FHA again.
Okay.
And
So you had 2 FHA.
I think if I go back, I think we might have refinanced it.
Okay.
At that point, we might have refinanced out of the FHA into conventional, and at that point, I was able to use my FHA again.
Gotcha. And you probably got a better interest rate on that conventional, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do you remember what that rate was at that time?
Yeah, so that was the goal, is to continue to refinance it until we lower the payment enough where it can start to cash flow with the tenants.
Okay.
So we always had that in mind, that we always wanted to hang on to the property even though we had a negative cash flow on it. We knew in the future, after refinancing it, that we would eventually start to cash flow.
Okay. So basically, you went into your second deal. Now, on your second deal, you made that as your primary residence. Did you go FHA on that, or did you do conventional?
I went FHA.
Okay, so you utilized the FHA again. Now, let's go to Dan real quick. So, Dan, when we talk about when somebody has an FHA and they want to use an FHA again, and a lot of people are not aware that you can actually use a VA loan again. You can also use an FHA loan again. So how does that work, and kind of explain the guidelines?
Well, it's pretty extensive, but how it works with FHA and VA is it's usually job related, or it's got to be a specific reason. And then you have to, like for VA, they have to approve that you have the eligibility, or just approve it in general. But usually it's job related. That's the only time I've ever seen where you can have two. So to utilize an FHA loan and then try to use another one doesn't really happen a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen it where it's happened where somebody's commuting, where they live here and they got to go to California, and they relocated. They had to have a house there. So I've done that a couple of times, but it's not a common practice. So going back to it, the only way to really get out of it, FHA only allows you, or VA, is VA, you can actually have two properties if you have enough eligibility, but because property homes are so high, the eligibility is only up to a certain point. It's like, I think it's 144,000. And then anything above that, it's almost considered like you can get a second loan if you have one less than 144.
Yeah.
But for the most part, houses aren't that low, right? So you're using up your eligibility for VA, and then FHA only allows you to have one for the most part. So the way you did it is probably strategically, I'm putting less money down. I played the game. I was in the house long enough, and then I turned around and put it into a conventional loan, and I redid it again. So that way, every single time you're buying a house, you're not having to put that much money into it.
Now, let me ask you this, David. Were you actually scared to buy your second home? Because now you had to carry two notes, right? Like, what goes through your mind, and what gives you the confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to go for it?
I think just doing my homework. So I've seen, the annual income that I make throughout the year. So just penciling everything in, how much will I be able to afford monthly?
And you know what? That's so important, because I realize the more educated that you get, you minimize the risks. And that's what I realize in real estate.
Too, also, like, for instance, some of these mortgages, they're like car payments now, that we're back. So you do very well. You do well. So, I mean, you have $1,000 mortgage, it's probably not a big risk too much. It could be a little bit, but I think if it's like different in today's world, you buy an investment property, it could be $2,000 renting that out. That's a big thing to look at, So I don't know. I mean, I think buying, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was buying at that right time really supported that decision too, right?
So when did you actually buy that second home?
So I think it was 3 years after the first one.
Okay.
And then at that point, because it was me and my brother, we bought the primary, the first one. The second one, we went off kind of on our own ways.
Okay, so you bought your own primary, basically. Yes. And what did you end up paying for that, and what year did you end up buying?
So I paid $205,000.
Dang, what year was this?
2010.
You son of a... Dude, he bought this thing in a good time, bro.
I'm telling you.
This dude hit a home run.
I'm telling you.
Dude, you didn't have to be a professional. Dude. If you just bought in 2010, you hit the shit out of the park. Oh my God, I just swore.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, you did though.
Yes.
Grand slam.
Right now, you looking like a superstar. There's people that I was selling homes that they actually bought in 2010. They sold in 2015.
Yeah.
$100,000 equity, $150,000 equity. Like, that was just crazy.
Well, it's also too, it's like you said, equity, not only you cash flow them, but if you ever wanted to sell it, let's say that you just want to get out of the game, you're killing it.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
Now, let's go back. So you went back in 2010, you bought this home, your own single-family residence, so it was just only under your name for $205,000, right?
Correct.
But you're also taking a loss of like $350 a month. But you knew you were going to carry it, but then you were waiting for the rates to drop. So you were kind of timing it, right?
Correct, yeah.
So now I want to get into this, Dan, because this is important now, because just because you buy one investment property doesn't mean that you can automatically buy another one. There's a lot of compensating factors. One of the compensating factors that you have to take a look at is also your debt to income ratio. And also the income that you do make from that investment property will be used towards your debt to income ratio as well. Can you explain that a little bit more, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, it's so, look, if you're trying to use rental income, you can use that if you're filing your tax returns.
Yeah.
Now, what a lot of people do is they wait a year, rent out the property, file their returns. And the reason why they want to do that is because then they can show the income. Like, when you're buying a home, you can always show like, hey, I'm going to lease this. Let's say you're upgrading to another house, primary residence, then you could always show that there's 75% of that lease you can use towards the next house you buy. But
now that's a good point. I want to make sure that you guys understand what Dan just said. 75% of the income. So it's not the total. Is it the cash flow of 75% or is it the total mortgage?
It depends. If it's
not the mortgage, but the rentals that are coming in.
It depends on the lease.
Okay.
So if you're leasing out, see, obviously, so the way you look at it is if you've never been a landlord, they're going to look at what are the rents going for that area. That's also going to be determined by an appraiser.
Okay.
Right. So they're going to look at that, and then whatever the appraiser comes back and says this is what it is what it is. Now, in some cases, if you've been a landlord before at least a year experience, then you can say, hey, I'm going to write this lease, and I wrote this lease up for $2,600 or whatever. And let's say the rents are a lot lower, but if somebody signs the lease, then you can actually use the lease.
All right. So correct me if I'm wrong. So let's just say your monthly rents are $1,000. So you can only write $750 and apply that towards your debt to income ratio. Or let me ask you this: if he's only making $250 on cash flow because his mortgage is $500 and technically it's only $250. So now is he only writing off? Can he use $250 towards his debt to income ratio, or is he actually using the $750?
Well, that depends on what he puts on his tax returns.
Okay.
So whatever he's filing on his profit and losses at the end of the year, and whatever's left over on his tax returns for those properties.
I'm talking about he's filing it correctly where he's making cash flow $250 a month.
Yeah, but it's whatever he's claiming.
Okay.
So whatever he's claiming. So it depends on, look, if you're going from one property to another property and you're writing up a lease, then you can use 75% of whatever that situation is.
Yeah.
If you're saying, okay, I want to use multiple properties, or I want to use rental income, and then you buy another property, if you make enough money, you could buy 3 or 4 properties if you wanted to, if you make enough money.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's a lot of money that you got to be able to make and have left over. So what people do is they wait a year or two or whatever, file their tax returns, show the income, and then they're off to another one. Or like he did, refinance out of an FHA loan, get into a conventional loan.
Now, David, let me ask you this. Did you actually run this thing like a business and file the taxes correctly so that way you can scale up?
Absolutely. The taxes is very important. You have to have a good relationship with your CPA because you have to tell him exactly what your plans are for the year when you want to buy more investment properties, or you want to do flips, you want to do finances. You want to have good communication with your CPA because that's going to really determine how much you can finance in the future.
So basically, it's almost like you have to have like that all-star team. You got to work with the right lender, right? You got to work with your CPA. You probably want to work with the same title company. You also want to probably work with an attorney as far as for asset protection. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So now let's talk about this. So you're scaling up. So you buy this property for $205,000 in 2010. So now you are negative cash flow on your other property.
Right.
How long does that actually go negative cash flow every single month? Like how long?
So
before you refinanced?
Yeah. So it went, I'd say on that property, it went about 3 to 4 years negative cash flow.
Oh, really?
And it was split between me and my brother. So we split the negative cash flow together.
And did you do that because you knew that the market was going to go up, but also you didn't want to like do a short sale and you didn't want to hurt your credit?
Exactly.
Okay, so you knew that the market was going to go up then, based upon your education and all that stuff.
Yeah, I knew I couldn't sell the property. It was underwater. It was undervalued.
Yeah.
The only option that we had was a short sale, and that was going to ruin my credit. And I had a lot of plans to purchase more property that year.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to ruin my credit with a short sale.
Which made sense. So you strategically moved yourself like a chess game, right? And you positioned yourself. Now, there's one thing that I do want to mention, and this happens a lot. When people start to accumulate investment properties, people start to pocket the cash. And what I mean by that is when they get the money, they spend the money and they file like zero, like they're not making any money. That's going to hurt you. So when you go into something like this, you got to run this like a real business. You want to file everything because the whole idea is to run this like a business and to actually scale up. Now, going on into the business world, okay. So because you're running this as a business now, did you end up getting this property into like an LLC or anything like that?
Absolutely, yeah. Once I moved into the other primary, I put the rental property into an LLC.
Okay, why did you do that?
So as for protection liability, if anything happens with the tenants inside the property, if they get injured or anything goes wrong with the property, they can only sue for what's inside the LLC. So they can't
Gotcha.
they can't come after me for any of my primary assets.
Okay. Now, so every property that you have accumulated, you've created LLCs for all those properties?
So it basically depends on how much equity you have inside
Yeah.
the LLC. So when I first started, I bundled. I had three rentals. I put all three in the same LLC
Yeah.
because at that time they didn't have that much equity.
Gotcha.
So the only thing they come after is your equity. But once you do build a large amount of equity in each property, I would recommend having a separate LLC for each property.
Gotcha. Now, were you actually terrified to get your second property? Or were you just like, I want to do it, I'm going to do it?
Yeah, no, I was really excited because it was also moving out of a certain part of town to another part of town.
Mm-hmm.
So I was relocating. So I was really excited about the move.
Gotcha. Now, let's talk about your third property, right? When did you get that third property and how much did you pay for it?
So this one's really going to blow your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So these next two, I bought both in 2010.
Yeah.
And both of them I paid $54,000 and $56,000.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll give you 70 right now. Where'd you buy these properties at, dude?
So these are located like on the east side.
East side. Okay.
Like on Owens. One of us
Okay.
Owens and Lake Mead. The other one's Charleston and Nellis.
Did you end up financing or paying cash?
I financed them.
How you finance $57,000? Who finances?
Well, think
you
about it like this though. When
Yeah.
did you finance them? Right? What is it, like 2007, 8, something like that?
It was 2010.
2010.
So you got to realize that what was the loan size then? Right? Loan size was
Exactly. Well, it's probably like 120 back then.
I don't know if it was that low, but it was low.
No, I'm talking about for the median price point.
Oh, that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
it was probably like 120 something thousand. Because I remember I was
100%.
chasing those type of deals. Now, I did mention about the 57,000, and the reason why this actually intrigues me is because number one, there's a lot of banks that won't even finance you at that price point, and number two, a lot of lenders don't even want to do the deal, and if they do a deal with you, something like that, they're doing you a favor because they ain't making no money. Am I correct, Dan?
That's 100%. Well, it's not because we don't want the client.
You ain't making no money. That's the problem.
Well, the thing is that if you got so everybody's got money and they're trying to replenish it and they're selling these loans and replenishing it and getting new money to loan, really.
Yeah.
And so would you rather have a $200,000 deal to loan on? It's not saying that they won't do it, but they got to have a breaking point where if it goes too low, it might just be better to go to your bank or go to a credit union or go somewhere to get a $50,000 loan, because big banks, when they're packaging these loans up and selling them off, there's not a lot of appetite out there for investors buying $50,000 bulk loans like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, but you might get a better deal too going to your bank, and then they're going to give you, and they're going to hold the note, and it could be a better situation.
So going back to buying these two properties. So now that you accumulated these two properties, did you have to do like any type of rehab to these properties?
Yeah, absolutely. The reason I got them so low is because they were foreclosures, number one, and they needed a lot of work. So I think when I purchased them, I did a hard money loan.
Okay.
Just to get into the property. And I did probably, I'd say, close to 20,000 renovation on each one.
And that's still a good deal.
It was about 18,000 on the renovation. And after the renovation was complete, I put a tenant in there, and then I refinanced it into a conventional loan at that point because it was habitable, and now we could finance it.
Damn, that is crazy. And what about like contractors and stuff like that? How do you find like the right contractor? And do you get like one contractor to do everything, or are you just subbing out the work yourself?
I've tried it both ways. I've tried to sub everything up myself. It's really not that cost effective. You're going to spend a lot of time trying to, hire a painter on your own, hire the floor guys, tile guys. So I like to do just one general contractor that's in charge of the entire project. And because of my experience doing a lot of flips, I know how much everything costs. So when this general contractor gives me an estimate, I know if one of the items is a little too high, and I know where to negotiate and get the price down.
So, I mean, how does that work? I mean, so do you contact like 3 general contractors and say, come here and take a look at the property?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say for people out there looking for general contractors, the best way to find one is word of mouth. Try to find a top real estate guy that's doing flips and things like that. Just give them a call and say, hey, who do you use for your contract work? I have some projects. And normally they would share their contractors with you. That'd probably be the best way to find contractors. And you always want to get three bids when you're starting out. 3 quotes. and then you want to see which one is the best one.
Now, when you're speaking to a contractor and you're just getting started, like, how do you know, like, what really needs to be done? And the reason why I'm saying this is because I notice a lot of people, you know, they'll come together with an agreement, but then they realize there are certain things that come up that needs to be done. So, like, as a newbie, like, how does that work? Like, you know, you meet up with the contractor, but you say, hey, I want the flooring done. I want a brand new kitchen. Like, how does all that work? Like, the process, walk me through that process.
Yeah, there's always going to be a risk involved. So you have to do your homework as best as you can.
Yeah.
Once you tear down the walls, there's going to be risks that you haven't seen. There's going to be plumbing issues. You might have foundation issues or electrical issues that you didn't see prior to bringing the walls down. So you're going to have to pencil in a little bit of the budget to account for those risks, and then kind of play it by ear. And you always want to manage it. All of my projects, I'm always there every day.
Gotcha.
Every morning I show up, I make sure the workers are there, make sure they're doing everything on time. I want to see as the wall's coming down, I want to see the electrical myself to see exactly, you know, what the issue is, what's going on. And it's just a real managing process. You want to manage the project yourself.
So when you meet up with the contractor, are you just telling him, hey, I want flooring, I want this type of flooring, and does he go get the materials, or do you get the materials for him and you're just paying him for labor?
I've done it both ways to see how it would be most cost effective. And because I have a really good relationship with the contractor I have now, I trust him and the materials that he gets, and now I just leave it all up to him.
So what does a average contractor make as far as a percentage wise off the deal?
So their profit is on labor. So you can see exactly how much the materials cost down to the penny.
Yeah.
For all the materials, and then they're going to make their money on labor, and they have to pay their workers as well.
Gotcha. Now, when we talk about a contractor, obviously we want to make sure they're licensed and they're bonded. But as far as like the skill levels, because I know, so like when you talk to like certain contractors, what tends to happen is they may specialize in paint, framing. They don't really specialize in a whole lot of stuff, but they are licensed as a contractor. But then what they'll do is they'll hire their friends to do the framing or do the plumbing, right?
Right.
So I guess the question is, how do you know like this is actually like legit? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's goes back to you know, everything is a little bit of a risk, so you got to take a risk a little bit to get the higher reward. So you're gonna have to put trust in your contractor, the licensed general contractor that you hire. And I mean, if worse comes to worse, something happens, you're gonna go back to the general contractor and kind of go after his license.
Yeah.
So if he's the one that hired somebody to do drywall and they didn't have a license or things like that, it's gonna fall back on the contractor.
Yeah. Now I remember back in like the 2010 when we had a bunch of foreclosures. Okay. Some of these homes were in such bad condition that you could not get finance for the deal. But during that time period, Dan, there were certain type of financing, right, where you could actually come in and still loan out the money for the home and also get the financing for it. I think it was like a SB or something. I forget what was the loan type during that time period, or it was like a something K loan or something.
I you know, honestly, I don't know that. I don't. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
But do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where
I know what it was, but it was
yeah.
so long ago. It's one of those things that was used, and then it's like we don't use it.
Yeah,
too
we
much
don't use it anymore. But I always thought that was fascinating. But those type of deals were even like harder to put together, especially with people buying their first home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, you bought total 4 properties at this time, right?
It was 2.
Well, you bought.
Total
Well, you
of
bought
4.
the prime. Yeah, so it's a total of 4.
Right.
So, where are those 4 today? Did you buy any more after that?
I didn't, and then kind of going back to one of your points is like you kind of kick yourself and say, you have no idea when the market's going to turn.
Yeah.
And looking back at it now, I wish I would have bought 4 more.
I know. I made that mistake. Dan,
But you know what? Let me
Dan
say.
can actually attest to that.
Oh man,
I was in contract with this dude, and I got paranoid with like 3 more properties, and I didn't pull the trigger. I was scared.
let me say this though, like, be happy what you did.
Yeah.
Now it could have been better. I'm going to tell you that I talked to a lot of people. They weren't in a position to do this.
Yeah.
I also talked to a lot of people, and they said that they think the market's going to collapse again.
Yeah.
So they had no confidence in the market.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like some people would just talk themselves out of it. Some people didn't take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you were in a good position, maybe, there's got to be confidence behind it. So maybe you were just, maybe you were like, hey, is this going to pay off?
Well, where I went wrong was I was in these great deals, but I was actually reading a lot of books on investment deals, and I just stuck to the rule of thumb, and that's where it hurt me because I wasn't confident enough. I always just did the rule of thumb. I didn't see like the future. So what I mean by that is there's no really like right or wrong way to invest in rental properties. The numbers just have to make sense, and it also has to make sense for your portfolio. So something that makes sense for your portfolio may not make sense to another investor. So you cannot go based upon what somebody's telling you. You just got to understand the game, right? The rules of the game, and you got to play your own game.
Yeah,
You
it's
see what I'm saying?
100%. 100%. And look, sometimes, man, you look at people and you're like, wow, you took advantage of something. Like those properties. They're probably, 3 times worth what you paid for them, right? Yeah. Think about that.
Yeah.
How many years? 10 years? In 10 years, if you told me in any investment, you invest this money now, and in 10 years, you're going to have 3 times the amount of money that you're going to get in return, who would not do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Where are you at now with these investment properties? Are you planning on buying more? Are you planning on refinancing? Or where are you at?
Yeah, so I just finished refinancing 2 of them, and we took advantage of the low rates.
Okay.
And it's
what rates did you end up getting?
On the investment properties, we got a 3.2%.
Damn, I'm at 5.2
on investment. Yeah. So what we did is because the
Hey, I need to find out who your lender is.
I shopped around and got 3 quotes.
Oh, okay. Dan couldn't beat the rates though.
Not at that level. That's super low.
Oh, dude.
Super low. Hey, but you know what's hard about that too is the investment side of it is, I mean, you bought the rate down probably too, right?
I think one of them I had to.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like it was just the investment property is probably what you looked at to buy the rate down. I'm assuming.
Now, when you say buy the rate down, how does that work, Dan?
Well, you're basically spending money. A lot of people use the equity in their property,
Mm-hmm.
and that's big because refinances right now are huge.
Mm-hmm.
But they're using the equity to reposition. I got a client right now, a mutual client.
Yeah.
He's buying down the rate, and he's getting out of his VA option. But it's big because you can use the equity,
Mm-hmm.
reposition, and if the market appreciates, it's still money and like equity in the property, but it's not like you're coming out of your bank or out of your pocket. That's just natural appreciation.
Yeah.
So is it money? If you sold it, would you get the same thing? Of course, but you also got to look at it. Well, it's not money because it's not in your bank account either.
Yeah.
The bank still owns the asset. You'd have to refinance to get it anyways.
So, David, let me ask you this: where are you at now with all your properties, and what's your goal now? Like, what's your next step?
So on the 2 properties that I just recently refinanced, taking advantage of the rates, I actually did a cash out refinance.
Oh.
So I was able to pull money out of the properties.
Oh, how much did you end up pulling out?
And keep the payment almost the same. So on each one,
what?
I pulled out about $26,000 and $29,000.
Because the rates got better.
All right, so let's just say $60K. Now, obviously, you pulled that out for a reason. Why are you pulling that out, and what are your plans to do with that money?
So we want to see how the market is going to shift right now. It's obviously the holidays, a lot of things going on right now. The inventory is very low, so it's difficult to find any properties right now.
Yeah.
And the values are very high. But we definitely want to move that money right into another property. That's
now, is there a certain type of ROI that you're looking for? And when I say ROI, return on investment.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to one of your points when you mentioned earlier, I had a client that I just closed on a property. It was her first house.
Yeah.
And she took advantage of the rates, the FHA, and bought a 4-plex.
Ooh.
So the exact same thing that you said. She lived in one of the units, rented out the other 3, and is now making a cash flow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I want to ask you guys a question because I get this, if this is okay, because I think you both have a different perception. Nobody has a crystal ball.
I do.
Maybe you do. So pull out your guys' crystal ball. And let me ask you this question. Do you guys think that there'll be opportunities in 2021 with what's going on now where you got an opportunity where you got these investment properties and timing was there? Is that going to happen, you think, in 2021?
So I brought some stats here. I know you guys like to look at the numbers and stats.
Let's hear it.
So the inventory, as of right now, November 2020, the inventory is down to 6,076 homes on the market. So that's extremely low for a market.
Now, I do want to mention real quick, that's only a 2-month supply, so keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah. So in a healthy market, we have about 8,000 to 9,000 homes on the market.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing that we have right now are the forbearance, people that are in forbearance.
Yeah.
They're not paying the mortgage. There's about 4 million people in a forbearance in this country. So I think what's going to happen is a good percentage of those, they're going to get back on track. They're going to put the back payments on the back of the loan on the principal.
Yeah.
And the people that are still not able to afford their mortgage, even after that, are going to put their house on the market.
Yeah.
So what that's going to do is increase our inventory.
But now that's nationwide. Now let's talk about Vegas. I think the percentage is probably 10% from what I heard. I don't know how accurate that is. So let's just say 250,000. Okay. And also you do have tenants that are not paying, right, their mortgage. I mean, I'm sorry, not their mortgage, their rent. And a lot of these guys that own these property or landlords, they're probably not making payments to the mortgage company. So they'll probably end up selling their property, right? Now, the question is, do you think, like you said, core CPI, right? Consumer confidence, is it still going to be there? That's the $1 million question.
Well, when you say I think it's core PCE
or whatever it is.
PCE, yeah, it's inflation. That's an inflation report. Do I think the inflation's gonna? I don't think we can keep inflating this, because as inflation goes up, what does that do for us as consumers and also business owners? It takes money out of our pockets, right? Because now we're spending more on goods and services. So, from my perspective, I think the inflation's going to stay the same, or they're going to try to keep it at the same, right? They got that barometer. Consumer confidence, I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be determined on who comes into office.
Yeah.
And what happens from there. I think, we're not going to go into politics, but I think certain people have confidence because of things that are consistent. And then when you have something come in like a new regime, they got to wait and see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where the markets are going to be. And so it's interesting to see if the confidence keeps going.
And do you feel like right now the market has kind of slowed down for like the month of November and December? Because I was having this conversation with you the other night.
Yeah.
And you were telling me that it always slows down around this time.
Well, it does. In my report later, I'm not going to go crazy on it, but mortgage applications did dip. I do think that there's people out there still looking, but is it a frantic situation at this time? No. I think most people that are moving here or trying to come here usually are, somebody that's trying to either get a good deal, because we always talk about when it's slower, you get a good deal, or it's just they're relocating from somewhere and they're wanting to come out here.
What about you, David? Do you think the market is starting to slow down for like the months of November, December?
I do. I think a lot of it has to do with the inventory. Going back to the inventory, I think there's still a lot of buyers.
Yeah.
I'm helping a lot of buyers right now that it's very difficult to find a property for them.
Really?
Because the inventory is so low. So we've seen properties that have multiple offers on them because there's a lot of buyers. So in that aspect, it has slowed down because there's not as many transactions.
Gotcha. Now I want to go back. Okay, as far as buying an investment property, how does this work when somebody actually calls you and says, look, I'm very eager. I want to get into the real estate game. Okay. However, I do want to advise you that if you're going to find a realtor that helps you, make sure to find that realtor that actually specializes in investment properties. And they also should have investment properties too as well. Okay. So now let's go back. So somebody contacts you, right, David? And they're like, yo, I'm actually very interested in getting into the game. How do you educate them, or what's that process like to get started?
I would say, number one, you want to find, like you said, somebody that's knowledgeable, experienced, that actually has rental portfolio, has experience flipping houses. You want to find that one realtor or experienced agent that's going to help you with that.
Yeah.
And then going from there, you're going to have to get your finances in order, whether it's, if you're looking to do hard money, then at that point, it would be just based on the property to finance the deal. If you're looking to do financing, you're going to have your taxes in order, your credit score, and your employment in order to take advantage of the financing.
In addition, probably until next year, just to kind of go on top of that, we have a audited profit and loss, or a profit and loss with business bank statements backing up that business. I want to throw that in there because
this is important, especially because we're hitting towards the end of the year. A lot of people are trying to file zero. If your whole end goal is to buy investment properties, pay as much as you can with the IRS, basically.
Yes. And show it, because right now what's happening is in this world, conventional loans and just underwriting and just these government sanctions, they're wanting to go more restrictive. And so they're making it harder to get a loan, which is good because we'll have less default, but it's harder because now you have to prove and back it up. Usually we would just say, well, show us the last 2 years, we'll average it out and see what it is. Now they're like, give me a year to date. Is this still on point? Now, this might change going into next year because they might file tax returns and they might not be worried because of COVID. But look, COVID's still here.
Yeah.
And it's coming back. Things can change.
So we know that before you get into something like this, get with a lender, and especially if you're about to file your taxes, you want to set yourself up for success. The second thing, obviously, you want to get with a realtor that has a portfolio. They know what they're doing. Also, the other thing that you need to figure out is what type of investor are you? Are you a speculator, or are you going to be a buy and hold where you're going to build cash flow? Because cash flow is very important, because in today's market, what you have to take a look at is the rental sector. Now, if we take a look at the rental side, the average for the rent across the valley is about $1,695, right, a month. Now, what can you get for that? It's about a 1,700 square foot home. Average days on the market right now is about 8 days. Every 30 days for rentals, they're selling about 1,000 homes right now. So this information is important, because if you're getting into the rental market, right, and you want to get a certain ROI, this is going to determine the ROI. So now the third thing that you have to take a look at is, what are homes selling for? So in the last 30 days, if we take a look, the median price point for a home now is $343,776, right? At $182 a square foot, 14 days on the market. You roughly get about 1,900 square feet home, okay? Now, the reason why these numbers are important is because now you're going to take the rentals, right, times 12, and this is based upon a cash-on-cash deal. I'm going to simplify this for you guys. So if you take $1,695 times 12 months, that's $20,340. You divide it by the median purchase price of a home in today's market at $343,776. The return, the ROI on this is 5.9%. That doesn't include property taxes, insurance, if you also did financing too as well. So this kind of gives you a barometer where we are at in today's market for a cash-on-cash return.
Yeah.
Typically about 6%. But again, property management fees, so you're probably going to be dropping down probably about a 3%. So now the next question to ask yourself, what type of investor are you, right? Am I an investor that's looking for a 3% cap rate? Or am I an investor that's looking for 16? When I was buying investment properties, I was hitting this thing out of park, 16, 18, 24% returns. Now some of these returns that I had are infinity from refinancing or cashing out on these type of deals. But what I'm trying to get to in today's market is, you're not going to make those type of returns where I was making. And that's where you need to ask yourself, can you park your money into something cash on cash, right, to make a 3% return? Are you comfortable with those 3% returns? That's what you need to ask yourself as an investor, because you can take that money, probably throw it in the stock market and make a higher rate of return. That's why it's very important. So,
a little riskier, though.
Say again?
It could be a little riskier, though, right?
Well, it depends. And that's why you got to see what your tolerance is, because that's what it comes down to. Are you okay with a 3% return? So let me ask you this, David. If you found a deal right now and you're going to throw $350,000 and you're only making 3%, would you buy that deal?
I probably would, yeah.
At 3%?
It depends, yeah.
Okay, so that is your threshold. So now the question is, you're buying it at a 3% return, you're happy with that, but also you're probably buying in a better location and also waiting for the equity position. Am I correct?
Correct.
Now, see, for me, right, I don't buy those type of deals. I will buy a property. I don't even care. As long as it gives me a certain type of return that I'm looking for, that's all I want. I want cash flow. The equity position is just only the gravy on the top for me. But that's what I'm trying to get to is, you need to find out the type of investor you are, what your strategies are, and what your end goals are. So like now, with all these investment properties that I have for single family residents, I want to get out of the single family residence. I'm trying to go into the multifamily. I'm trying to look to buy 30 units and above, because I would rather have everything all on one roof, and I would rather make $30,000 a month. It's just a lot easier to maintain, and that's my end strategy. So, you know, again, what I'm trying to get to is, it really depends on you, but at the end of the day, you have to get educated as far as buying these type of investment properties. Because here's the thing, you can get a great investment property, but if you don't have an exit strategy, when the market tanks, it's going to be very hard to get out of the deal. It's not like stocks, because stocks, market tanks, you can buy out.
You're out.
With a investment property, you can't get out. you're stuck holding that asset. Now that asset could also turn into a liability. And also keep in mind that, you know, when the market tanks, also rents tanks too as well. And never spread yourself too thin. And what I mean by that is a lot of investors will leverage themselves out and they'll get financing and they can get up to like 10 properties, let's just say. But they're only making 200 here, 200 here, or 400 here. But it's not enough to cover if, you know, shit hits the fan, basically.
Right.
And that's what you need to be wary about. Any final thoughts, David, on that?
I completely agree with you. I'd say for people that are looking to, get into the market to buy an investment, it's always a good time to buy real estate. You just have to do your homework. You have to find a good deal, talk to a good mentor, get a good realtor, find a good price, and it's always a good time to buy real estate.
I think real estate to me is like more of a long-term investment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It really is. It's not a short-term investment like if I was going to go do stocks or kind of like buying silver and gold or something like that. It's not something you're going to do to flip it, as you would say. You know, you're not like, hey, I'm going to buy it and see if I can get a gain of $200 in a week.
Right.
You're looking at this thing probably, this is my life.
Yeah.
You know, this is, unless something happens to me, I'm sick, you're probably going to keep it. So, you know.
Now, I want to move on to the next segment of this show. We're going to get into the financing part with Dan. Let's get right into it. See, look at that. You like that? I'm going to go do it. Drop it one more time just for you.
Oh, yeah. I like it. Oh, yeah.
So what's going on with the financing?
What's going on, guys? So let's kind of talk about what's happening with mortgage rates and the outlook for 2021 and what people really think is going to happen. Everybody's concerned. And for me, I think from a lot of the things I'm seeing out there, we may have missed the boat, or a lot of people may miss the boat on getting those rates that were historically low. Look, every year it happens where something happens in the market where things could come back. And so the forecast for 2021 is that we're going to be hovering right around low threes. They're saying that maybe it's not going to get down to that low, 2.5, 2.625 range on a 30-year fixed, those historic lows. So it's still good news, though. And I don't think, the Fed might have to come in and intervene more because they're talking about a stimulus package. They might not be able to give out as much money as they're talking about on the new one. So the Fed might have to be involved more. So when you look at rates and what's happened this last week, we do this from a week-to-week segment.
Yeah.
This last week, rates upticked up till today. Now, today, the markets were closed because of Veterans Day. But this week on Monday, we lost some pricing. And so Monday, we actually lost about 1/8 of a point. Now, why is that important? Because the big news, the big things that come out is consumer confidence. And when, I think his name is, what is the doctor's name? Fauci? What is his name?
Fauci.
No.
Fauci.
He came out and he stated that they had a vaccine. What does that do? It presents consumer confidence.
Yeah.
Then you have people putting their money back in the stock market. They feel like, oh, okay, things are going to get back to normal. And so that's why you've seen an uptick because of that news. That's how big these types of things happen with that consumer confidence, So looking at the overall picture, mortgage applications fell, like I told you, 0.5% this past week. Although, you did see home buying right now, applications are down 2.6%. Refinance applications, though, did creep up. Now, if you think you missed the train on refinancing your home, get a quote from me, right? Call me, let me know, because there still could be opportunities. Like you said, you can buy the rate down. Rates are still low. I'm still pricing people out in the high threes, the high twos, low threes. But what I think is going to happen is we're going into an unstable position because we still don't know who's going to be the president, right? And you got a lot of things happening in the markets that's really causing a lot of volatility. So in my opinion, if you're out there and you haven't locked a rate or you're thinking about refinancing, I would do it sooner than later just so you can ensure that you may get that rate. So, rates, like I said, ticked up. This is the first time since they've been up since the beginning of October, pre-election. Other than that, I know that serious delinquencies right now, they're starting to trend downward a little bit, but I don't think it's as big a number as people think, like you were talking about, Chuck, with this whole thing going on. I don't know if it's going to cause a huge impact here in Vegas.
Yeah.
But we'll have to take a look at that. But overall, I think, like you look at it, tomorrow we're going to have consumer price index, also the core consumer price index. Those have a very high impact on rates. Jobless claims, producer price index. A lot of these things we're going to take notice of, because the direction of these things, of what comes out, depending on if it's worse or better, obviously has an impact on rates. But right now, rates are doing pretty well. I do think, though, they're going to stay pretty close to 3%. And they do have a chance to go up. They do. Depends on what's going to happen, though, with this market.
Is there anything else?
No.
I got a question for you. What was the last interest rate you locked somebody
My
into?
last rate was 2.875.
Damn, 2.875?
But you go back 2 weeks ago, I locked somebody in at 2.675.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is that investment property or primary residence?
Yeah, that's the 10th investment property.
Quick question too.
That's a primary residence.
I heard that the 15-year mortgage is getting a little more popular now than they go down as.
Depends. Everybody's different. You know, it's like going in like, what is your goals? What's your recipe of what you're trying to accomplish?
What's the benefit of that, though?
Well, older people, they want to pay their house off.
Yeah.
Let's say you're 50.
Faster.
Let's say you're 50 and you want to own it in 65.
Yeah, but why not just do a 30-year to have that option for 1 month? I'm going to make a lower payment.
In their mind. They're set in their
so
mind.
it's like discipline thing then,
It's
basically.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
But you also get a really low rate, right? With the 15
You
year.
do, but you also have a higher mortgage.
Yeah.
So just by countering that low rate, you're paying cheaper money, but you're basically betting on yourself going, look, I can do 30, but I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to pay this thing off in 15.
that just never really made any sense for me, where you're forced to pay more money when you could already, have the money towards, the principal.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to see.
It's like a mindset thing, dude.
Well, look, rates are volatile.
Yeah.
I don't think we can raise rates very much, especially quickly, because I think it would have a huge negative impact, obviously, on the market.
Yeah.
With all these things going on and all this uncertainty going on, if I'm out there and I'm looking at, should I refinance? I'm doing it today. If I'm in a contract, like you're in a new home builds track,
Yeah.
and let's say that, you're 60 or 30 days out, I'm locking.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to chance it. I don't want to get a risk and then I can't. I'm like, damn, I should have locked that thing in at a half a point, or it's now I'm paying a half a point more because I just wanted to play the market.
Cool.
Right.
Now, there's another segment I want to get into here. And this right here is for all new pre-sale, because I know some of you guys like the new homes. And we always talk about this. Like, if you're going to buy a new homes track, you want to get in the beginning stages, so that way you're buying rock bottom pricing. So Woodside Homes has a new release here, which, where's my mouse at? Now I can't even find my mouse. Give me a second, guys. So we've got a new release here for Woodside Homes. Let me go down to the next page. So as you can see, this model right here, Plan 1, you got from 2 to 3 bedrooms and up to 3 bathrooms, starting off at $471,000. You'll probably be into this deal probably about $525, with decent as far as like bells and whistles. This is a single story, 1,800 square feet, and the next one here, we have a 2 bedrooms with a flex. And what a flex is, it could be a den or an office. 2.5 baths, starting at $480,990, and it's 1,900 square feet. Okay. Also, I have some more new homes track that's coming up. This one right here is kind of interesting here that I wanted to show you guys. Okay. So on this one right here, this is from Story Homes, okay? Well, Storybook Homes. And as you can see, this one is with let me zoom in a little bit more. This one right here is with an RV parking. You don't get RV parking anymore. It's very hard, but this one's out in Boulder. What are your thoughts about Boulder City, guys? Do you guys like Boulder City?
Yeah, I do. I like the old style, old town.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you can go out there and you can have a nice diner breakfast. Like if you go out there and you see those old cafes or those old diners types, you get those old style meals. I go out there sometimes and do that.
Yeah, I heard they have a lot of good restaurants there.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Do they really?
Yeah.
And then you're right by the lake, so I think that's the number one selling point is people that want to be on the water.
Mm-hmm.
They have a boat, jet skis.
So here's another one from Jules, my girl over here at Foxtail up in Summerlin. It is a gated community. Now, these are actually standing inventories. As you can see, we do have lot 92. They are asking $647,000, and they are contributing 2% towards closing costs. This one is 2,416 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms, 2-car garage, covered patio, and a balcony with full upgrades. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and contact Jules, and also let her know this is where you got the information, and she's going to contact me, and hopefully we can represent you. On the next deal, we have lot number 64. This one right here, the asking price is $687,599. And this one is 2,156 square feet, 3 bedrooms. Okay. Let me show you here. There we go. 3 bedrooms. Okay. 2-car garage, patio cover. Okay. And it looks like it has a large island. And it also looks like the closing costs, they give you up to 2%. And we do have lot number 80. This one is 2,156 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3 full baths, 2-car garage. Asking price is $662,354. Also, we have one more property that is coming up on the market, and I want you guys to be the first to get in. And it is called Echo Park with KB Homes out in the Southwest. Get up to about 2,400 square feet. On this deal, it's really nice just due to the fact that I was able to get the exclusive, right, to do videos and also to pick the lot. So if you guys are interested, they are not releasing these models yet, but I can actually get you under contract on the 27th of this month. There's certain stipulations that do apply. Let me know if you guys are interested in moving to the Southwest, roughly about 2,400 square feet. Like I said, you're looking to pay about $350 starting and up. So if you guys are interested, let me know. I'll get you first to be inside where you can see exactly what is going on, and that's going to start on the 27th. So you'll be able to get in before it gets released. Isn't that crazy?
I love it.
Do you love it?
I love it.
It's awesome.
Now, any final thoughts? You know what? Let's do this. Let's read some of these comments here because we have not had a chance.
Good call.
Yeah, you know, we can't leave some of these people hanging drying, but the only thing is you're going to have to help me here because I can't see this, David.
David, can you read those?
Let's see.
Any questions over there?
Try to find a good one.
So there's one here by Cora Rains. She asked, did he do a course in order to be successful, or is he just naturally so smart?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Good question. I'd say a combination of both probably. But definitely is the number one thing I think is having a mentor.
Yeah. See, you got a really good start, man. Not everybody can get a mentor. And trust me, because like when I first started real estate.
Yeah, you thumbed your way through it.
Well, I had to thumb my way through it. Now, here's the thing. I remember this one guy. I think it was, I'm not going to name the company because I don't want to throw them underwater. But I went to his office and I said, look, I ain't got nothing but what you can get out of me. I can do all the legwork. I'm willing to be loyal to you.
Yeah.
And work my ass off. And basically just blew me out of
Plus, also, you got to realize, too, man, is that you guys are real estate agents. I'm a lender, right? So there's competition there. Like, let's say I'm going to teach you my tricks and tips, right, of what to do. Well, guess what? Now you're a competitor of mine. So some people don't want to do that. Now, some people might take you under their wing and be like, hey, I'm going to teach you. But it's very hard, man, to find right people. I got into this game, and, you know, the person just like me, you know, they always said, you know, when I first started, I knew enough to be dangerous because he knew that I knew enough to go out and do the same thing he's doing, but maybe do it better because I have more drive or I had more hustle. Yeah.
Now, I remember, you know, when I did all this stuff and I started doing more and more deals, you know, there were people that would always hit me up and say, hey, can you mentor me?
Yeah.
And there was this one girl that I mentored. She was doing really well, but then she found out how hard the legwork is as far as, you know, doing yellow letters and finding the deals.
Man.
And she quit on me. But I remember this. About a year later, she came back. She was like, yo, I see you blowing up on YouTube. I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Can I come back? And I was like, no. So now I'm to the point in my career where I just don't have the time to help anybody out.
Yes.
And if you are looking to purchase an investment property, I'm going to actually charge you a consultant fee to find an investment property because you got to understand that certain agents that do investment deals, some of them won't even find you a property because I'm not saying it's hard, but it takes up a lot of time. Yeah. And if I'm going to take up a lot of time for you to make $40,000, I'm going to buy that deal myself. And I'm going to be real with you.
Exactly.
Because I became a real estate agent to buy investment properties. Okay? And that's what I want you to understand. So it's going to be hard to find somebody Because I get emails all the time, man. Can you like mentor me, or can you show me what's going on? Yeah, I'm gonna charge you like $5,000.
Time is money, man.
It is, and I'm just no longer there anymore. You see what I'm saying?
And adding to that as well, it's a lot of clients, they want to flip houses. A lot of people, they say, how can I get in the game? I want to start flipping houses. They have to realize that as an experienced agent, I already have probably 15 clients ready to go, ready to buy houses.
Yes.
So if I find a deal, I'm probably going to buy it myself first. Like you said, you're going to buy it yourself. And then you have your first, second, and third place clients that you can hand it to first.
You're right, because here's the thing. When I do find a deal, I look at the acquisition. If the numbers meet where it makes the return and it makes sense for me, I'm buying the deal. If it doesn't make sense because I'm not making the return I want, then I give it to my next guy that's in line because they may meet his criteria. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what I do. So you did hit it dead on the nail. So I do like that, man. That's a good point.
Right.
And what I'm trying to get to is it is very hard to find an agent that really specializes in this field that's willing to help you out to make you money. It really is. It's not easy.
No, it is. You got to really take the time. And I mean, like I said, man, you guys are all competitors.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big deal. I mean, people don't want to give the secrets out, and not saying you're giving secrets, but like you said, if you got a deal out there, why would you pass up on that deal and give it to somebody else when you know it could be a slam dunk?
Right. As a real estate agent, you're going to make, a 2-3% commission rather than making 40,000-50,000 profit.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to pass up on it.
So, are these markets the right time to buy a new home in Vegas? Feels like a seller market rather than a buyer's market. Looking to buy a home for the starting a family, not a business. You want to answer that question, David?
I'd say it definitely is a seller's market because we have such low inventory.
Yeah.
The inventory has just been going down this entire year. And because of that, the supply is lower and demand is higher.
I have something to say about it, though. That's okay.
Yeah.
I think if you're buying a primary residence, so I thought long and hard about this.
Yeah.
And if you're buying a primary residence, I don't know if there's really a cost. Like, you obviously don't want to overpay, but is it a seller's market where they're going to make the most profit off of a sale? Especially now, like everybody was in a frenzy when they thought Biden won. They're trying to sell their houses. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
But they're putting like everybody's putting their house on the market now because they think that's the path to go. But if you're buying a primary residence, I don't know if there's really a seller's or buyer's market. You're buying it for your family, and you're buying it to have them and harbor them in a nice area or a nice location. So I don't know. There's got to be some blend to that, right?
Exactly. That's a really good point because when you're buying a primary, you obviously want to buy a good investment. You're buying real estate, you want a good investment. But the second half to that is your family's going to live there. You want a good school zone for your kids. You want to be in the area that there's shopping, restaurants, maybe your family's close by. So buying a primary, it does have a lot to do with your lifestyle as well. And that has value.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a seller and you're selling your house today, of course you're going to make a good profit. Yeah. Inventory's low. That's the rule of how it works. Right. But I don't know. It depends on, like I said, it goes back to case by case. If you're buying it for a primary residence and you got a family of 3 or 5 and you need a nice house, I don't know if I put, like, obviously I'm not going to overpay for the house, but if it's in an area that has, a higher price point and it's just you're paying a little bit more because of the area, I don't know. I would maybe look at that and just maybe go ahead and move forward. I'm not sure,
Yeah, I completely agree.
Who is the lenders that are currently loaning at this time? New executive orders have tightened restrictions on any Fed-backed loans. You want to answer that question, Dan?
Any what?
Fed-backed loans?
Everybody's doing that. The reality is this. Some lenders or smaller lenders, they got shut down because they didn't position themselves well for COVID. And so what does that mean? Right away when we found out there was COVID and the market and the economy was shutting down, a lot of lenders became more restrictive a lot sooner than others. And why did they do that? Because they don't want to have to hold on to loans, especially if people go into forbearance or whatever. But they're making it a harder criteria. So the people that are shutting their doors are usually the ones that didn't react quick enough, or they're more of a smaller company and they just don't have the volume to stay afloat, if that's what you want to call it. So we're still doing loans. I mean, do we have greater restrictions doing loans? Absolutely.
I feel like this is a different kind of recession than 2010. Last pandemic recession was 1980. Mortgage forbearance just ended. I wonder that will happen. I wonder what will happen in 2021 to the markets. I think we already kind of talked about that. I do agree that this is the time to capitalize on interest rates. So let's talk about that for a second. So now you're paying a lower interest rate. You have a lower interest rate, but you're paying more money for a home. And I think it's higher now than in 2008. What was the median price point in 2008? I think it was like 3 something, 380,
it wasn't
right?
that high.
What
I
was
think it was like 150.
No, in 2000 and I'm sorry, during the boom, like 2005. What was the hype?
2006.
Yeah.
2006, that
So
was probably 350,
350 because we just surpassed the value of 2006.
Because right now across the whole Las Vegas Valley for the average is 417,000. That is crazy.
Yeah,
But what was rates back then though?
Rates, I think they were still hovering around 5%.
So basically you're pretty much paying the same amount. So it's kind of even keel, even though the pricing is high right now,
Well,
but the interest rates are low. So you're pretty much paying the same price.
Here's the thing, it's subtle differences. Now, when you get a home though at a $500,000 loan amount,
Yeah.
an eighth of a point makes a huge difference, right? That could be the difference of $50, $60 just by that, right? I think it depends on what the loan is and also what rates are doing. Like I said, I don't think that the Fed has a part in this,
Yeah.
right? They are purchasing some bonds still, and they're still manipulating the markets in some ways. But I don't think they will ever allow it to go to a 4% because the national debt is so high.
Yeah.
And also with everything going on and with the housing market going on, inflation, I don't know if they go and raise it to 5 to 6% that it's going to actually be a positive thing on the economy.
Yeah.
It might start to slow the economy. It's like this. They're pulling strings. They start to see that that the economy's slowing down. They're not getting a stimulus check out, and it's maybe half of what they thought it would. They want to stimulate the economy. We need gross domestic product. We need a lot of things to happen. So I really think that could we sustain a market at 5%? I don't know. I don't think they're going to go there though. But could it go up to 3.5%, 4%? Yeah. Now, if you got a loan this year and it's 4% or even last year, there's no option to refi though at that point, right? Or that money now you just passed up on it that you could have got it at 2.75. Now it's 4%. You're paying a lot more for your money. Money's cheap.
David, do you see high-rise co-ops as good investment property opportunities in Vegas, or would you look elsewhere?
What was that again? High-rise co-ops?
Yes. So do you see high-rise co-ops as a good investment property opportunity in Vegas, or would you look elsewhere?
There's definitely opportunity in the high-rise, especially some of the properties like MGM Signature and Platinum Hotel Building. In those buildings, you could do short-term rentals.
Yeah.
So you could do Airbnb on those, and that could definitely be lucrative for you. As far as other high-rise properties, they don't allow short-term rentals. You're really going to have to pencil in how much you're going to pay for it and how much you're going to be able to rent it out for.
You know, it's crazy. I went over to Signature Towers to run the numbers, and for what you get, it doesn't make any sense, dude. Like, their fees are just way too high. And I think I was just kind of turned off by the condition of the units. That's the only thing about co-ops is you're buying a piece of paper saying that you own this little space, but you notice like all the furniture and everything like that all looks the same.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it doesn't make any sense. But there are some people out there that make sense where they want to own something in Vegas, but they're going to come on out here every, maybe once every 4 months or so, and they have a place to stay. But also, they're trying to increase the equity position too as well. I think it's a little bit dangerous.
David, have you sold anything with financing at MGM Signature?
No, but I did have a client that they bought at the MGM Signature. It was cash.
Cash, right?
Yeah.
And see, the problem is it's the risk.
It
right?
is.
It's the risk. That's the
What's
only
your
thing.
tolerance? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the bank it's just too high of a risk where they'll have some banks out there, but man, you're charging a premium on the rate.
Right.
You might be charging 6-7% to do a deal like that because it's now considered, a co-op or condotel or something like that.
Dan, Nicole asks you, can you do refinancing in California?
I have somebody that will. I don't do it because I'm not licensed there, but I can have somebody. I can connect you with somebody in California.
Well, maybe you should start getting licensed.
Maybe. Well, I didn't know my clientele would be California. So.
Well, I mean, you are from California, and we are now expanding. Is there any negotiating when it comes to new home builds? Yes, you can definitely negotiate. However, the price, no, but the lot premium, and there's certain other things that you can actually negotiate. So it is really on up to you, but make sure to get with an agent that knows how to negotiate these type of deals. When buying a new home in Las Vegas, are there any particular builders that you've noticed that have more complaints than others? Yes, the best way to do it is to go on Google. All right, you can take a look at the Google reviews, and you can see all the complaints. And here's the thing. With builders, you're always going to have problems. It's how you hold the builders accountable, right? You got to know who to talk to. You got to know what your legal rights are. You got to read the contract, and you got to play the game. I'm always holding these guys' foot to the fire.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Is it just because they're so big that it's like they miss things? Is that what it is? I mean, because they're big, right?
The problem is that you have to understand that the builder has a general contractor, right?
Right. That
oversees that site. But then you have all these subs are all third-party companies.
Right.
So the pressure is coming down from corporate all the way down to the site manager, let's just say. And he's trying to slap the home together. He has a certain period of time that he has to meet. The guys that come in the trades, they're not getting paid by the hour. They're only getting paid by piecework. So they're just slapping in the product. So somebody has to hold them accountable. So the superintendent holds them accountable, but then you have to hold that superintendent accountable, because if not, you're going to get fast talk.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to move on to the next deal. How new homes build, what they do is they take money, put money into a property, and they try to turn that paper as fast as they can. That's all they're doing. They're turning and burning paper. That's all they're doing. That's their position. But that's why you got to work with somebody that understands the Nevada Contractors Board, their guidelines, right? Understands Nevada law. Right? And you also got to understand the contract, and you got to play their game, and you got to understand your rights. And it's how you play the game.
Yeah, I mean,
it's all strategy. You know what I'm saying?
I think knowing your rights on anything, not just buying a house, but anything is important, you know? Like, what am I getting into, and what can I do and what can't I do, you know?
Some sales agents love me, and some builders, they just really love me. You see what I'm saying? It's you like me or you're not. Because here's the thing, you ain't going to get one off on me. I won't let you. You know what I'm saying? I'll play your game.
I know.
Now, okay, so house near me went for sale. Bought last year for $345,000 and just went up $445,000. 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms in the Spring Valley. 2,380 square feet. Looking to rent out 3 bedrooms, overpriced, or good idea. David, I don't know if that made sense.
Sort of, yeah. I kind of put it together, but you'd have to check the comps, see
the rental comps, right?
Yeah, rental comps and sales comps to see if you're going to be getting it at a good deal. Because right now, sellers are overpricing their properties.
Like crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we got one more thing, and we're going to end this show really quickly here. Now, let's talk about lvhomeexperts.com. We're going to go in. We're going to pick one property on lvhomeexperts.com. Guys, let me know what property you guys want to take a look at here. Dan?
You want me to pick it?
Yeah, pick it, man.
All right.
Which one?
Keep scrolling a little bit. Can you scroll down a little bit?
Yeah, let me find my mouse. Oh, my mouse is on.
You got anything higher than that? That's a little cheap. That's like investments right there.
Yeah. This ain't nothing. Hey, what do you think? What do you think is a good property, guys? Let's pick one. Let's take a look at it.
I would say let's look at something about 350, because that's where like most people are looking. Starting point.
350. Dang.
Yeah, put that 350 in there, man.
350. Oh, man.
You got these people coming from California. They could buy cash at 350, man.
Dang, not even like 450? 350?
No, let's do 350. That gives a good
So guys, visit lvhomeexperts.com, and it is a great website to get started. We have anywhere from foreclosures, new homes. We have everything all on this site. Everything on here is currently active. So as you can see, we are looking at properties in Clark County, 350 and above. Okay. So let me go ahead and hit this search. 350 and above. You know what? I'm doing the max. Let's go down to here. We're going to go 350 and lower. Now you can definitely see the difference between the 350 range. Now let's find a good one, Dan. For 350. You sure you want to go 450?
Let's go 450.
Yeah, because the average right now is 417. So let's just do 400 and up. Yeah. Let's see what we can get across the board. Okay. So we're going to come up here and adjust it. We're going to start here. So now we're looking a little bit better. Let me know which one you guys want to pick here.
Look at that big pink one right there. You see that one right there?
This one right here?
Yeah, that one right
400,000. So this one is 2,062 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. Okay, let's click it. Let's see what happens. So now we're going to click this here. Let's take a look at some of these pictures here. Oh, I got to move this off to the side for you, Dan.
That's a lot of pictures they put out there, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Here we go. I'm gonna move it just like that.
I like it.
Right there. We move it just like that for you. Okay. So now let's take a look at this.
It's pretty
Ooh.
nice.
Got some tile. Looks
High
like
ceilings.
plantation shutters.
They got the high ceilings in there. Where's this at?
Dude, this thing looks like a rehab, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it still looks nice. It's very open.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I would keep the pink, but I probably do something with that on the outside. But
Looks like you got some maple cabinets,
Yeah.
2-inch on the baseboards. You got 9-foot ceilings here.
that's in Summerlin too.
Is it in Summer?
South Summerlin.
South
Wow.
Summerlin. Ooh, let's take a look at
That's
this.
a hot place too. 400 in Summerlin.
You're over
Oh, yeah,
by
look.
Big
Downtown Summerlin Gem. Ooh, located in a desirable neighborhood. Wow. So here's the school zones you can see. It was actually listed 9.9 for $400,000. This is a 2-story home, South Summerlin. You said there is an HOA on here. So let's take a look at some of this stuff. Let's see what else we can look at. Okay, so this is important. This is what I wanted to show you because this website has access to all the properties that are currently on the market. You have the satellite map view, so we're going to go ahead and enlarge this up. Now, as you can see, these yellow dots, these are the school zones. So this is great, right? So if you have kids, you want to know where the schools are, boom. It
Right
shows you
there.
right here on the site. Now, most important, look, you want to see what's going on? We're going to drop you down to the street view. Look at
Oh,
this.
Wow.
Tell me this site is not awesome.
No, it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. I mean, you can literally get all the information that you want on this. I mean, let's just go down the road. Let's take a look at the neighborhood. You know, nowadays you can actually buy a home.
Can you
Pretty
drive
much.
down to In-N-Out and get a burger real quick?
No, I'm good with that. Boom. Now let's go back up here. One thing that I do want to show you that's important. If you have any questions here, you can go ahead and add your questions right here. That's really important. But to kind of give you an estimate on how much does this property cost as far as a monthly mortgage, it says it's $1,878 a month. But remember, this is based upon how much you put down and also what your credit score is and the type of loan that you're going to get to as well. But overall, this is a pretty nice home. I mean, do you think that you'd pay something like this, $1,900 a month?
I think I would.
What
Look,
about you, David?
Yeah, absolutely. Because going back to that point, when you're buying a primary, it really depends on where you want your kids to go to school, where
Yeah.
you want to shop, and what area you want to be in. So that's not bad.
Also, if you are very interested in this property, you can hit the action button right here. You can do the chat now, right? Or request a tour, or you can also do a calculate the mortgage payments too as well. Print out the flyer, or you can just go ahead and save this so that way we know that this is something that you want to take a look at. Now, we are going to end this show. Guys, any final thoughts? Dan, let's go ahead and plug in some of your websites and all that stuff we got.
Well, yeah, like I said, you know, maybe look at rates, maybe look at the opportunity. Doesn't mean you got to pull the trigger, but go to vegasloanguru.com. You can also see rates there. You can also see a lot of information as far as just what's going on in the market.
Mm-hmm.
My website there, including guarantee rate, they offer a lot just to give insight.
Yeah.
Also, you can look me up on YouTube. I'm putting a lot of stuff out, not just financing related, but just about what's going on in Las Vegas and Henderson, Summerlin, all the areas. I'm trying to really put some stuff out with that. So,
And David, if I wanted to buy an investment property, how do we get a hold of you? Because you are the man to get a hold of.
So best way obviously would be my cell phone. That would be 702-232-8448. You can contact me directly, send me a text. Other than that, we're partners with Chakits, so you can log on his website, jump on there, search around, take a look at the properties. And if you're looking for flips, investments, primaries, we'll definitely help you out.
Well, guys, that is pretty much it for the LV Home Expert Show. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. If you have not had a chance to subscribe to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, comment below. Let us know if you guys would like more content like this. Also, to help out the algorithm, go ahead and hit that like button. Other than that, until next time, we are out.